Welcome back. Now, mining executives, industry experts and investors are gathered at the Joburg Indaba looking at critical issues affecting all stakeholders in the sector. Chief among these, the future of mining in the global economy. Neil Froneman, who's the CEO at Sibanye Stillwater, addressed this event today, and he joins us with greater perspective on the future of the sector and its place in driving development, innovation, as well as change. Neil, thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure.
No, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, let's chat about your address this morning at the Joburg Indaba as you reflected on mining and in the global economy, looking at development and innovation. What are some of the reflections that you shared with attendees there?
I think mining has reached a point where the negative perceptions of mining are changing very quickly. And it's all based on the fact that the biggest challenge facing humanity at the moment is climate change. And of course, the way to resolve climate change is to decarbonize the planet. And the only real effective way to decarbonize the planet is through electrification and changing of energy sources that are low carbon intensive energy sources. And of course, to do that, you need the critical metals. And the only way to get that is through mining. When you couple that with the fact that mining in the last, probably 2 decades has changed its model from one of being very commercially focused to one of having a purpose and a vision of creating shared value, unlocking, economic prospects in remote areas. Mining is poised to be something very different and something much more acceptable to humanity around the globe. So it's a tipping point for mining if we do the right things now.
I'm keen to get your thoughts on the lessons that we've learned with mine historically. You speak of this new image that we're embracing for mining. But before then, there was this negative perception, and there's lessons to be learned from that area, Neil. What are some of the lessons we've learned there, specifically where development is concerned? And as we look ahead, we can just make sure that we correct those and make mining and the issue of shared value one that is prominent for everybody.
Yeah, and it really goes about what we refer to in business as stakeholder capitalism, rather than the capitalism that you would have remembered from the 60s and 70s, which was very shareholder centric. So in other words, shareholders were put in a prime position, and everyone else was secondary. That model has changed, even in the most capital intensive center of the world. The US Business Council has adopted what we call a stakeholder capitalism model, which is one where everyone's got a benefit in a fair way. Of course, shareholders are still important. They do put up money, they do put it at risk, but there are other stakeholders, the communities, government, organized labor, the employees, management, and of course the environment. So there's a much higher level of ESG focus and ESG, environmental, social, and governance focus, and that's been a transition that's been happening quietly over the last probably 10 years, quite intensively, and of course when it happens in the right way, it builds trust with local communities, it builds trust with government, and you get this momentum building up, which is what I see. So you couple that with the need for critical metals, you couple that with Africa is an underexplored continent. We have great expertise, we have young people, we have lots of capacity. The sky's the limit.
You spoke about the issue of this stakeholder capitalism. I'm wondering if in African countries, Neil, the issue of beneficiation and beneficiation capacity forms part of that. What we have seen in the past is a rather extractive form of mining, where the minerals are taken out of the ground, they're shipped out, and we buy them back. But of course, that has caused value to not necessarily stay in mining communities and in mining countries. Could we be speaking better about beneficiation where mining is concerned?
Beneficiation is important, and but it also has to be commercial. Now, a lot of the problems that we face when we talk about beneficiation is really, where is the market? Now, let me give you some good examples of beneficiation that works and doesn't work. So, for instance, the mining model of being a contract miner, say for let me use a country, China, that does a lot of beneficiation and manufacturing and fabrication. That's not a good model, because you're taking commodities, you're not extracting the optimum value, and you're allowing somebody else to do it. So that's not what we support. The type of beneficiation you're seeing in South Africa, where we are fabricating and manufacturing cars, and those are going off to, say, the US and Europe and Australia. That, of course, makes absolute sense, and our raw materials are being used. But if we were, for instance, let's say, going to manufacture batteries for electric vehicles, if we didn't have the car plants in South Africa, I doubt whether that would be economically viable. But your point is good, in that we have to extract as much value, for our national economy as we can. I just think when you try and put beneficiation in a box, it doesn't always work, and I suppose that's what I'm saying we must be careful of. But supporting beneficiation, absolutely, where it makes sense.
Neil, we don't have much time there, but I'm keen to get your thoughts on the future of mining. Often when we think of the future of mining, we think robots underground. I'm very keen to get your thoughts on that. What does the future of mining look like, specifically from an operational perspective, and the kinds of efficiencies we may be able to achieve in the future that we haven't been able to achieve to date?
Yes, and look, innovation is not a once-off, let's say, digitalization issue. It's not a once-off technical issue of getting machines to do the work of men and women. Innovation is actually a behavior. It's a culture that's developed, that should be developed within every organization. And I have no doubt that machines will not replace humans, and we should not allow machines to replace humans. We should allow machines to actually make the work of humans a lot easier and a lot more interesting. And I think in fact all industries are working towards that. We refer to that as the fifth industrial revolution, as opposed to the fourth. The fourth is about machines replacing men. The fifth industrial revolution is about machines assisting people in doing their jobs more easily.
Well, Neil, it's been a pleasure catching up with you. Always a pleasure doing so. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That was Sibanye Stillwater CEO Neil Froneman.